One, two, three, let's go.
And we are recording. There we go. All right, bienvenidos a todos. Welcome everyone. My name is Narz, and this is You Don't Have to Speak Spanish to Be Latinx panel, a roundtable conversation about the nuances of being Latinx, Latino, Hispanic, and the ability to speak Spanish. The core topic we will define today are just the fundamentals of our lives and what makes us so rich as a culture, while reminiscing about Latin music, some food, memes, and fun. And I'm joined by some amazing content creators, visionaries, and creators from gaming to join me on this topic. We're gonna go around the room for a small bit. So we'll start with Gabe Olivero. Tell us about your heritage and what is your current role right now.
I was hoping I was gonna go last because I was fighting
Nope.
this
Nope,
big
not
ass
today.
dragon.
Not
All right,
today.
wait, can we curse on this? No cursing, right? No, right? Gotta
No.
confirm. Gotta confirm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
let's
right.
not
Get a little spicy. All right, everybody. My name is Gabe Olivero. I am Puerto Rican. I'm from Brooklyn. I make the better rice and beans here. You know, it's just how it is. I work with everybody here, part of 368, and we do a lot of gaming stuff, a lot of gaming content, talking about creators, interviewing creators, developers, voice actors, etc. And yeah, I've been a gamer since that. Wait, what was the rest of the question?
Talk
Is
about
it-
your current role, your heritage, but keep going. How long have you been a gamer? Tell
I
us.
gotta make sure I hit it. I gotta make sure I hit all of it. Yeah, no, it's, I've been gaming since I was like 5 or 6, and I come from a very fiery household. So that was anybody knows who's Puerto Rican. Everybody they're always screaming, and I was always like, "Go outside! You know, you gotta do this, do that." And it's just like, yo, I'm just trying to save the world as Link, but you know, whatever. And yeah, just it's followed me throughout my entire life. Got into the FGC, did a lot of fighting game stuff. Met a great mix of people there, and then from there, competed in a couple different things. I met Zune over here playing For Honor. I met Holly working with NYXL Overwatch, and she was one of the cosplayers who was there for a couple of events that I was a part of. And yeah, just still working with them still. And I think that's about what I got. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Now let's see if everybody else can top that. So next is Holly Peppermint. Tell us about your heritage and your current role, and obviously your gaming history.
No pressure or anything. Intro with Gabe, right?
That was a weak one.
So I'm Holly. I am the community manager over at 368. I'm also a cosplayer, and I do a lot of gaming and streaming in my free time. I am actually mixed, so as you can probably tell by the blanquita over here, I am half Polish and I'm half Puerto Rican. Puerto Rican on my mother's side, but I was actually raised in my Puerto Rican household. So I was raised by my 3 Puerto Rican aunts. So I grew up in that household where we kept the pots and the pans in the oven for storage.
Always.
And we had the arroz con gandules, and they're yelling at me in Spanish for things. So I definitely feel more culturally connected to my Puerto Rican side. Definitely more of a New Yorican than anything else. But yeah, I work with everybody here on this screen, and we have all connected in some way or another at some point over our shared Latin experiences. So this ought to be an interesting conversation.
Fabulous. And now the amazing Zoom girl. Tell us about your heritage, your current role, and your gaming history.
Oh, my name is Dune. I've been in the gaming industry for several years now, as Gabe said. We've met several years ago. I am chief of staff at 368. I used to work at the Microsoft Store, Mixer NYC Studio, or also Microsoft Esports or Gaming Studio. I'm forgetting, which I worked with Narz, and I met Gabe. And then I met Holly, now working at 368. I've done anything and everything from tournament organization, administration, talent producer, community management, player recruitment, talent development, and so on and so forth. So I'm pretty seasoned, as they say. And my heritage, I don't think I said that yet. So my parents actually are Dominican and Cuban, born and raised in New York City, and pretty much raised in Astoria. That's it.
What about your gaming history?
In terms of what games I played.
Yeah, she's ranked in Among Us, by the way, guys. She's like ranked, like
no,
she's
no.
like she's real good. Like she's challenger up there.
So my actually not a lot of people know there's this game that I love that I grind for a long time was Chime. Chime is like Tetris, and it was available on PlayStation 3, and I used to play it all the fucking time until my ex. Sorry, I just cursed. Until my ex took the PlayStation 3. So then I had to get it on PC and play Chime all the time, and then I started playing games like I don't know Among Us. Right, I'm ranked in Among Us apparently. But I don't even play games as much anymore. I kind of just babysit adults now. So
You create content too, stop.
I mean, sure. I also produce a Super Late at 368.
She's a one meme wonder, bro. It's all the real
Mhm.
content you be
Yeah.
making. Don't be
Ninja
talking.
loves her content. dude.
Yeah,
That-
seriously.
Yeah, I made one meme for a ninja once.
And it got stolen
And
the
it-
second
What did I
time.
It
lose you?
blew up though. Like she's a meme wonder. Like Diamond over here, meme maker.
That's true.
Yeah, so it is. For myself, I'm Narz. I am a content creator, host, streamer extraordinaire. I host not only at 368, I host Super Late. I used to host GG Reviews with the amazing Holly Peppermint, who's also here. But I also I HyperX's new show called Good Game. Yeah, and my heritage is Dominican. Both my parents are from Dominican Republic. I am firstborn generation, so they were both born in Hobo Claro and Punta Cana, and they moved here when they were young and or like in college, and they stayed here legally. Don't think it was illegal. They came here legally. And I'm here, and I've been playing video games since I was 5 years old. My first console was a Sega Genesis, and my first game was Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And I still have the cartridge and the Genesis.
Where is it? Because I don't see it in the background.
It's underneath me. It's underneath me. It's too small.
Ah.
Yeah. I still have my Dreamcast, so you can see it there. Yeah. Wait.
It's too much bling in the back.
I know. I have a lot of bling. There it is. The Genesis. I mean, the
Okay, now I
Dreamcast.
see it. Now I see it.
The Genesis is there too. It's just like you can't really see it because it's so dark. But
I feel bad. I should have brought all my gaming gear.
I know. My whole shit is
Oh.
empty too.
If I
Here you
lower
go.
the green screen, you'll see it all. I swear to God.
Just,
Look at,
just,
I borrowed this from 368.
does this count?
yeah, that
can I use
totally
this as,
counts.
like,
That
okay.
totally counts. Yeah. Aw.
I'm trying to look for
He's
one.
not gonna stand. He's not
He's
gonna
like-
stand. Put him right there.
He's in his weakened state. It's okay.
I know, right? He doesn't have the strength to stand up from all for one.
No.
One for all.
Now I
Like,
feel like
don't play the piano. It's just there as a prop.
it doesn't
Nah, she
work.
said she's gonna play some tunes.
Oh yeah, play some bachata for us.
Come on, Zune.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. So obviously we are all very similar. All of us were born and raised in New York City. So I guess we'll go around the table and talk about what does it mean to be Latino, Latinx, Hispanic to you, and which one do you identify first? And I'll go with Zoom Girl. What does it mean to be a Latina for you?
If you don't eat rice and beans, I don't know.
She stole my thing.
And plátanos, like you gotta have your mangú
Mm.
with queso frito and
But what about the
salchichón,
tostones,
Ooh.
though?
Oh,
Like,
word. tostones, oof, with a little garlic on it.
Oh my gosh.
You ever had it stuffed too? Like
I've
the
never had
tostones
it stuffed.
what?
Real good. It's
That's
like,
allowed?
you can make a little
That's
stuff
allowed.
into it and just stuff it. I'm not fingering my hand. Sorry, I'm not meant for this channel. Should I just go?
Oh, Holly, what does it mean to be Latina for you? Latinx.
I'm very proud because I was raised by three very, very strong Latin women. They are my great aunts technically, but so my family, my Puerto Rican family, they're all from Ponce. But then my aunts, they were born here in New York City, so they're like OG, born and raised. Like they used to live in Harlem back in like when it used to be really different. And so they know New York City like the back of their hand. Like you can't mess with them. Like they taught me a lot of really important values that are really like I feel like those sort of like the cornerstone of like being Latin is like having those values of like, you know, family always comes first, and to just, you know, be responsible, be reliable, and to just like always, you know, do what you can for others, and just help them. I feel like that's a very Puerto Rican thing. It's like we're very friendly, helpful people. So yeah, I'm honestly very proud, and like I said, I definitely connect more with my Latin culture than my Polish culture. Like I swear to God, I look Polish, but I don't speak a single word of Polish at all. Like if you tried to ask, I'd be like, I don't know, I don't know her.
I don't know her. All right, Gabe. What about you? What does it mean to be Latino for you?
I mean, it's kind of hard to follow up. They took all my ammunition right there. She started with the rice and beans. She talked about the family values. It's like, damn, they didn't leave me much. All right, well then I'll talk about the side that most people probably don't talk about. Is that, I mean, being Latin for me is, of course, being my family is really combative, so everybody fights for their own opinions here, and they're always yelling and screaming at each other. And you know, I think people look at it, and it's funny. My best friend George, who's also Puerto Rican, you know, we're constantly bickering, and people will look at us and be like, "How are you guys friends?" It just doesn't. It just doesn't make, like, you literally will call each other idiots and da 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 da. I'm like, that's just how it is. That's just how Latin families are. You know, it's really fiery. It's an intense love, intense opinions, and it always stirs up like that. And I mean, my family's from Puerto Rico, Rincon, Ponce, and then I forgot where the other part, the rest of the family's from. But my family is super diverse, right? You got people like me, like with light skin, light eyes, and you got like a couple of my cousins who are like as dark as this thing, like super freaking dark. And we've always had like a really diverse like family and stuff like that, and tight knit. I remember my mom told me when she was younger, she named her pig, you know, Wilbur. And then her father took the pig out and said, "Oh, that's your pig, right? Yeah." Whack! And just, it was over. Boom. And then that was my mom's coming of age story.
Oh my god!
That's where we get the food from. Bam, done.
Oh man.
And I remember one of my stories from like being in Puerto Rico. I had apparently ran out into the woods. No, my mom tried to lose me. Let's get that correct. But I was actually inside the chicken coop, surrounded by my chickens. You know, and they were protecting me because when she came in, they were like, "Ah!" And that's just something that just points out in my head. It has nothing to do with this, but it just came to mind when we were talking about this. But yeah, I mean, being Latin is being proud, being loud, and knowing good music and good food. Like at the end of the day.
We fight hard, but we love harder. That's what
There
my
you
mom
go.
says about our family. I think that's our way.
I think also that none of us said is that being Latin, we're like real grinders.
Oh, 100%. This like it's like innate.
It's just like we had to fight for a lot of things, to have access to a lot of things. And I've been in a very like different place. Like I've been wealthy and then very poor. So like
Yeah.
we just had to grind it out and to survive.
I think
We're
also
grinders and survivors.
like I think, at least from my experience, people I know and maybe some people in this room, is like you have to grow up really early when you're Latin, because you know there are situations where, like, you know, maybe your father's not around and stuff like that. Tends to be a common story, at least in my experiences with my friends, etc. And like you have to start working early. Like people need to contribute. Things got to go down. You know, you might develop OCD because your mom is crazy about cleaning things. So like there's a very big participation aspect that happens really early in Latin homes that I found, like in my experience, that is just like everybody's got to do something. You can't just sit around and just play video games, even though that's what I did. But you know, you have to find your way to be a part of the thing.
I think that's so funny you should say that, because like I bet you we all woke up to Saturday morning to music at like
100%.
9 in the morning, and you know what that means. And
Cleaning.
yeah,
When you smell the comet, you knew it was about to go down.
Fucking mom.
the fabulosa.
Don't go into the bathroom.
No 7 in the morning or 9 in the morning cartoons. It's
Dude, straight
so
up,
cute.
don't come out your room. I'm cleaning. Stop.
These kids talk about their Saturday morning cartoons. I was like, I didn't have that. I was scrubbing the toilets, man. I don't know.
And then the best part is like, why do you want to use the bathroom when I'm always cleaning? I'm supposed to hold my shit all day? Like, well, like, what do you mean? Like, let's keep this up. Let's clean. Let's, like, come on. That happened so many times. I'd be sitting there and like I'm in the room watching like 4Kids or whatever, or like Channel 11, and watching cartoons, and like my mom is cleaning the whole apartment because she has to clean the whole apartment, and I'm like, yo, I gotta use the bathroom. It's just like, no, you can't go in because everything you touch turns to dust. I'm like, how do you tell a kid that? Like, what? I'm just trying to take a piss. What do you mean? It's like, no, you always want to do this shit when I'm cleaning. What?
Oh my god, that's so funny. So for me, what it means to be Latina, I feel like there's just something so so wonderful about all the primos and primas that we meet around the world. Like, it don't matter if you're Ecuadorian, Venezuelan,
Yeah.
from Spain, from Mexico, from El Salvador. Like, if you start speaking Spanish, I'm like, yo, prima, vámonos, let's,
People
oy se
light up.
bebe. It's like people light up, and as soon as you just like give that kind of like handoff, like extension, and you open your arms to them, and you just call them primo or prima, it changes the relationship you have with someone. And I feel that like across all like spectrums of the Spanish like I can't even say Spanish because Spanish is like for Spain, but the whole Latin community is like that. All the Latinos, all the Latinas, all the Latinx, and even if you don't speak Spanish, which is what this conversation is about, you're still included in that.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about what, like, even if you don't speak Spanish, you are still part of the community, you are still part of the family. Even if you like can only say primo or queso, that's totally fine. So I'm gonna queso hueso.
Arroz.
Arroz. So does everyone here speak Spanish? At least a little
Fuck
bit?
no, I'm from New York.
Un poquito.
I have
I know when my mom and my grandmas are yelling at me what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's the most important part.
It's the fear that's ingrained in your brain. You just know that
The
you're
trauma.
about to get pow pow. You
Pow
already know
pow.
it's about to go down.
Paso.
La
Toma
chancleta.
La
tapu-
chancleta.
They
La
just want
correa.
That was kind, you know, because my aunts, they used to have the little slippers that you buy in Chinatown that they're made of
Oh.
foam and plastic. It's like a
Yeah.
little hit with that. That's nothing compared to like,
Lightweight.
If there was no
Mm.
belt or shoes, there's a
It-
branch.
There's a branch.
Creative. Extension cords. You know, there's, it just gets you creative, bro.
Oh my
I'm-
god.
It's like, you're gonna get this ass whooping. Maybe not right now. Maybe not right now. But give me like 3 days when you sleeping. I'm gonna catch you.
Oh
I'm
my
a-
This is
god.
how services. We're all adults now.
I know, yeah.
I know, we're all adults
It
now.
was for the better.
Alright,
I
Zoom,
would show up crazy.
Zoom girl, do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, I do.
Like fluently, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
How did you learn? Was it like from your mom, or like did you speak with your mom first, or was it like first, like Spanish was your first language?
Spanish actually was my first language because of my mom, and I was born in New York, but I lived in Dominican Republic for about maybe a year or two. I was too young to remember, but I also went to a school that only Europeans went, so that's where I learned how to speak English and Spanish there, and it was like the rich school over there in Dominican Republic. But that's how I learned to speak English, and then I came back to the States after 2 years or whatever, and that's it. I just spoke both languages, and all my siblings also speak, but a lot of them deteriorate their Spanish, so it's kind of like, you know,
Spanglish.
which happens because going to school, you spend more time in school than you do with your parents
Mhm.
growing up, so a lot of people just lose their Spanish a little bit, but
Yeah.
I just pretty much kept it and dominated a little bit more than others.
Alright, so now I'm gonna ask the real questions. Gabe, Holly, how much Spanish can you say? Because that's really the question. So, like, can you say, hello, my name is, and then your name, how are
Oh,
you?
yeah. Yeah, of
Okay.
course. Hola, me llamo Gabriel. It's pretty easy.
but
Wow.
the accent.
No, I'm gonna add the me llamo. I'm not gonna roll my word. I'm just gonna say it like that, you know. Me llamo. You want it like that?
Yeah.
You want that shit? You want?
Hold back. I already got
Don't
it.
hold
All
back.
right.
Don't hold back.
Nah. I mean, there's very few words in Spanish I can speak. I've tried to pick it up. My grandma used to speak to me all the time in Spanish, and you know, I would just look at her like, yeah, I'm not equipped for this right now. But my favorite part about having Spanish speaking of parents and like grandparents and stuff like that is that they always pronounce shit wrong. And it's like my grandfather will be like, yo, you want these Julio cards? I'm like, yo, they're called the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, bro. You know how to say it. Stop.
Walmart.
Yo, Walmart.
Walmart.
Yo, it's like that was always the best part for me, like the mispronunciation of things. Even though I've corrected them, and my grandparents and my parents are super young. Like my grandfather's in his 60s. He's not even in his 70s.
Oh, wow. God bless.
It's like, so it was like, I know his brain is there, but he just does it because he knows it's funny.
What about you, Holly? How much Spanish can you say?
So I can say enough Spanish to where it takes people off guard that the Blanquita knows how to talk.
Mm.
Because that's kind of my favorite thing, honestly, about the experience of being mixed is that like a lot of people don't expect it from me. There's like my old faithful phrase that I like telling people. I especially use it when I started working at a hotel, and there were a lot of Hispanic coworkers that I had, and they would speak in Spanish around me, and then they were surprised that I would understand them. So my go-to is, yeah, yo soy una boricua. Nosotros hablamos en la casa, pero yo entiendo más que yo hablo. So yo hablo, pero es un poquitito. That's like the my little spiel that I give
Little
people, and they're like,
spiel.
okay, we got you, we got you. I see. So it's like enough so that people can't talk shit about me in Spanish. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like a little warning shot. Like, okay, say something, say something. But yeah, that's not everybody in my Spanish side of my family speaks Spanish. I'm very mixed, much like Gabe's family as well. Like my Puerto Rican side is also very mixed in the color spectrum. So like I have a lot of light skin and then some dark skin. I actually have twin uncles, and one of them is light skin and one of them is dark skin. And
Wow.
neither of them speak Spanish, even though one of them is engaged to a Venezuelan woman, and
Oh, wow.
she is like tearing her hair out because she can't even speak to him.
That's so funny. I feel like for me, like whenever I try to speak Spanish, like I'll start off really well, and then like the conjugations or like the grammar or like finding out what is like un or una, and then I feel like that's when everything just kind of like. I was in a conversation with a waiter, and I heard he was speaking, Spanish, and he had an accent. I could tell he was Dominican. I was like, "Hey, ¿qué lo que primo? ¿Cómo está usted?" And he was like, "Oh, pero qué vaina, mira, esta es una dominicana. ¿Cómo está usted?" And then he was like, I was like, "I'm good." And he was looking, he was like, "That's it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's it." Bueno. I think I couldn't say that, like, I was trying to conjugate, "I've been here for a while," and I didn't know how to conjugate that. And there was this awkward silence where he was like, "She ain't shit." And then we started speaking in English, and then that was it. So, like, for me, I've always tried my best to speak Spanish, but I'm just not good at it. I'm not good at it. My parents didn't necessarily teach me. So I want to ask you guys this question. Do you feel like in conversations where you're speaking to someone, or like maybe there's someone else that's like English Spanish, do you start speaking Spanish to like create that kind of like rapport, or do you immediately go to English? Are you comfortable if like you were doing a job offer that required you to speak Spanish, that you would say, "I speak a little bit of Spanish," or would you completely be like, "I'm Spanish at heart and blood, but I don't know how to speak Spanish"? I'm gonna go with Holly first, because Zungro speaks Spanish fluently.
Like it came in handy sometimes. Back when I used to work at GameStop, we would get customers that I would be the only person on shift that like understood Spanish even enough to just be able to help them. So like that's the thing, like I understand so much more than I'm actually able to speak, and I feel like it's the same with your experience, where I feel like I know a lot of vocabulary, but I get so tripped up on the conjugations and on the grammar, and so it becomes really difficult, especially to connect with another native speaker, because they can just tell right away, and they're already like, you can see it in their face, they're like dissecting everything that you're like conjugating improperly. And so I open with it. I'm like, yeah, I speak a little bit, but like not enough to be comfortable, and I feel like I end up just like devolving back into English so as not to embarrass myself. I've tried in the past to like say things, and one of my good friends, she's like Argentinian Ecuadorian, and like I tried one of the first times when we were talking to each other, she's like, "Girl, it's okay, you don't have to do this." I was like, "Okay, thank you."
Gabe?
Oh, like yeah, I say I'm fake as fuck all the time. It's like I know parcero, and that's enough to make certain people go, "Oh shit," because I think everybody says primo or prima a lot, and like parcero is like, I guess, like the real technical like Spanish word, like Colombian or Spain or something like that. So like I'll drop that, and then I'll be like, "But that's all we're getting. That's all. That's as far as we're going." But like I always like I understand it. But I just can't speak it, and I know that's kind of backwards to certain people. It's just like, no, I know like tone, and like when someone's saying something and how they're saying it, or what it's in reference to, I could pick up on that stuff pretty easily. But no, like if someone's speaking me Spanish, I'm like, nah, man, that's not it. I'm sorry. Something I want to get better at. Maybe I'll hire a Spanish tutor. We'll see what happens, because I think that Spanish is definitely the most important language to learn outside of like, I guess, English and something like that. Just because like like Latin America or Latinx America or just the Latin world, the Latin community at large, since we speak this one language with very mild differences in it, we can all connect very easily versus like other cultures like Asia, which has a million different dialects, right? So it's like that's why there's such that communal aspect of like in the Latin or Latinx community, which just like if you know a little bit of Spanish, I know we can connect and I know we can talk. It goes so far, and and it's the most important thing.
Funny though to know when there are like very subtle differences in certain words and what they
Yeah.
mean for certain cultures as well. Like you say a word in that's normal for your dialect, but then like somebody that's from like the Dominican is like, oh, no, you can't say it. That's a curse word.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like, oh shit, sorry.
I mean, let's just say this: Dominicans don't speak Spanish; they speak Dominican. Because Dominicans speak some wild ass Spanish, yo. That thing is so loose.
Hold on.
Oh, now you know it's true.
Every Latin country though, because like you know what Wawa is? What's a Wawa?
A bus.
I know Wawa.
Okay, so in Ecuador, Wawa is baby.
Ah.
So yeah, like I'm just saying, like I remember because I worked in a restaurant, and in the restaurant I met different Latin people from everywhere. Like I even met Asian Latin people, which would surprise me when they would talk in Spanish, and I'm like, oh, okay, they speak Spanish. All right, cool. But like I would say certain words, and sometimes they don't translate because they all have their own dialect too, or their own slang as well. Like the Colombians too have their own thing, and I'm like, oh, parcero, parcerito,
Yeah.
or the Ecuadorians, ñaño, ñañito, and all that. So we all have like our own little language, I would say, in our own countries.
Oh yeah.
So don't be dissing those Dominicans.
Oh man, I
Puerto
bet you
Ricans,
it's
Puerto Ricans were our own tax bracket. Like we're just in a different like universe. We're just like bleh.
Now, Zuni, you've obviously like, grown up speaking Spanish. What do you think, like, if you were obviously to come to Gabe and to Holly, and they're like really uncomfortable about speaking Spanish, they're wanting to learn more, but they're wanting to engage in the Spanish community. What would you say to them about the ability to speak Spanish or not speaking Spanish when it comes to being Hispanic or Latin?
Of like, how do they learn how to communicate more in Spanish? Like, what's my advice to them?
Yeah.
Or okay, I would say first of all, if there's a Twitch streamer out there and you only speak Spanish, call up Gabe. You know, he probably needs a girlfriend that only speaks Spanish so he can learn real quick. Because I would say that love does help with learning a new language. Like I learned how to speak Portuguese because my ex mom used to live with me and she only spoke Portuguese. And I mean, I wasn't dating his mom, but she would talk to me and say all these words, and then I kind of was forced to learn how to speak Portuguese in order to communicate. So sometimes, like when you surround yourself with, you don't have to date them, but it was a joke, by the way. If you really want to like start learning how to speak Spanish, surround yourself with more Spanish-speaking people, and just by being around them, you'll start picking it up and start communicating because you want to be part of that communication. You know, like you want to be part of that, whatever they're saying or what they're doing. Like even cooking too. Like, hey, dame la cuchara. Like, you know, you want to know what that is and you want to communicate that stuff. So work in the kitchen too. I don't know why Gabe haven't.
I was gonna say that too when you said that. No, the most important thing in the kitchen is sí or no.
Sí or no?
Sí or no. That's the most important thing to know in the kitchen. If they're like, you know, you want to sí or no? Sí. It's just straight up.
All right, so
they both pretty much understand, I would say, Spanish enough. It's just them needing to force themselves to actually not be afraid.
Vocalize it.
It's like my nephews that are learning how to speak Spanish, and they try. You know, my mom talks to them all the time in Spanish, and they're just like, "Yeah, mom, yeah, grandma, blah blah." I'm like, no. She's not gonna respond to you unless you speak in Spanish. So you kind of have to force them to learn and communicate. So it has to come within. If you want to learn, you'll learn it. If you don't, you're just gonna know what they're saying, but not communicate.
And that's so important too. Like you have to obviously make the effort to try to overcome those gaps. And I think for me, the biggest problem when it comes for me to speak Spanish is like what you said, Holly. I feel embarrassed. Sometimes I feel embarrassed if I say the wrong word, or if I say something grammatically incorrect, and they just look at me like, you're dumb, you know? Like I'm like, I don't know. So like, I guess for everybody in the room, and you can say it, like, how do you overcome that kind of like insecurity because you don't do you think that maybe it validates you in the sense that it's okay to not know how to speak Spanish? And so then ultimately, do you think you are less Latino, Latinx, or Hispanic if you don't speak Spanish? Gabe.
Oh, you asked the wrong person because I love looking like a fool and an idiot all the time.
Okay,
So that's
I will go Holly. Okay, I will go Holly.
It is really embarrassing because I think it hits harder for me if I can't get something right, because like if I mess up in German or if I mess up in Japanese, it's not as embarrassing because I am not German and I am not Japanese, so I don't feel like this weight of responsibility where like I either have this expectation that I should know it. I just feel like it's kind of a letdown both to myself and like my family, because I'm like, damn, they literally talk to me in Spanish all the time and my dumbass can't even like form a sentence. So it's really embarrassing because I think it's also coming from the experience of like when you're mixed, especially, it's really hard to kind of like find your identity and like find parts of your cultures to identify with. And that is especially harder if you don't feel very comfortable with the language. And so, like, especially when you're like half Puerto Rican, half white, sometimes you're not white enough for the white folks or Puerto Rican enough for the Puerto Rican folks. So you're just kind of like stuck in the middle and you're just like, all right, I'll just chill here by myself. But I think what's really cool about being Latin specifically is that I feel like Latins are like, we are more like mixed with any other, like, than any other race. Like, you meet so many people that they're like, yeah, I'm half Latin, I'm a quarter Latin, because we literally just like we multiplied with like everybody in the world. So there are so many mixed Latin people, and our experiences are so individual and personal. And I definitely don't think that it should mean that you're less Latin just because you don't speak Spanish, because so many of us come from so many different backgrounds and we have so many different priorities and life experiences that I think as long as you have that willingness to learn, or even if you don't, like, as long as you have that part of yourself that you feel connected with, you don't need to be able to prove to somebody else because you can speak it that you are that.
Also, like the all Latin countries have their own history too, with like where everyone, how that country came about. So our spectrum, and you guys said it before, is one from really white to really black, and that's okay. Like Gabe said, he has relatives that are just blacker than black. So do I. Like if you see our family tree, like it's like we are all rainbow. Like we represent the world, and I think that's what makes like Latins really cool, is that you got all the flavors you want. Like you can't discriminate. We can't like discriminate at all with us. But going back to like speaking Spanish, I think the one thing that I would say, that if you want to really learn and grasp to speak Spanish, I think you need to learn to be more vulnerable and accept that you're not going to speak it right, and accept that other people will correct you. Because like my Spanish isn't perfect. Like I speak it, but working at a restaurant taught me a lot because everyone was Spanish, and I was the only one that was American, or Americanized. And I would have my waiters like say, "Oh, you're saying that funny or whatever." Like I'm saying the word, they understood me, but they're like, "You have to say like this or whatever," and they'll teach me. And I was being vulnerable, like allowing them to be like, "Oh, okay, I'm saying it wrong. Thank you for telling me," because my mom doesn't tell me. I get mad at my mom. I was like, "Mom, why all these years I've been saying this word and you don't tell me like I'm saying it wrong?" It's like, "Oh, it's because I understand you." I say, "I'm trying to look good in front of my other Spanish Latino people here, Mom." But anyway, it's being vulnerable and allowing other people to correct you. I think it's a right way of letting that be, and also like being vulnerable by trying.
Yeah. And I think it's also letting go of this toxic idea of like, people looking Latin, or like they should speak Spanish because they look Latin, or like being surprised that someone speaks Spanish because they don't look Latin, because looking Latin is such a non thing, because, we literally we are every color of the spectrum. We literally look like we have so many different features. Gabe, my Puerto Rican man over here, and with the blue eyes, my Puerto Rican great grandmother, she had blue eyes, and people didn't believe her because they were like, "You're not Puerto Rican, you have blue eyes," and it's like, that's insane, like. And like Zune said, we all have so many different backstories from these countries. I had an uncle that he was Argentinian, but his family, they were Russian Jews, and they immigrated to
Oh wow.
Argentina. And even though they were like, super, super white Russian Jews, they spoke the most fluent Spanish. And he was like truly Argentinian until the day that he died, because like that was his culture that he grew up with. And that's like not something that anybody can take away from you. And nobody from the outside can just look at you and be like, well, you don't look Latin enough. your culture and you should speak Spanish, or
Mm-hmm.
just silly.
My grandmother's parents were German,
Oh wow.
and so she had blonde hair, blue eyes, and in Cuba. So like my brother was born with my brother was born with red hair and blue eyes.
What?
He's hazel and brown now, but it's all different colors. We're all mutts.
We're all
It's
mutts
okay.
at the end of the day.
That's
Gabe,
true.
I'm proud.
Gabe, do you think you're less Latinx if you don't speak Spanish?
No, absolutely not. Because like I go to Puerto Rico routinely. I'm going to Puerto Rico in January. My mom to a Puerto Rican festival that's happening. We're going with a bunch of Puerto Rican people. I'm gonna go surfing in Rincon. Like it doesn't matter to me whether or not I speak the language or someone else speaks the language. I know I love rice and beans. I know I love tostones. I know when my grandma starts making avena, I'm showing up. This is all in me, and you can't take it out of me, and you can't tell me who I am at the end of the day. Just because I don't speak a specific language well enough that you would be someone else's like standard.
Mm-hmm. That's
Poquito, yo.
beautiful.
Yo,
Poquito.
my grand, listen. When December comes,
I got 20 for it, dude.
you got 24, yo. Cause I got my grandma's ready to start working. Okay, they gotta start making this coquito. We're gonna package it.
I'll give you my deposit.
Zoo knows every year when it's time to make this money. My grandma's gotta start working. Get the little bell on the bottle. Get the little.
Oh my
card,
god, that's so
made,
cute.
small
I'll give you the
batches.
deposit.
Listen, I got you. I
She
got
does
you.
the coquito. My aunts do the pasteles. So if you guys
Oh,
need it,
pasteles.
Oh.
Oh. Oh wait, Gabe. Does she make vegan coquito?
Oh, she will if I ask. Yeah.
Oh, cause I
She
will.
will.
I will definitely put down mad money for some vegan coquito.
Yo, just let me know. Like, come around December time. That's when it started. When the furnaces start firing up. I'll put a special order in for you. Custom made.
Yes. Yes. All right. So this is a time where we go around the room mentioning some of our favorite things from our own culture or our history. So we're gonna go around the room and talk about our favorite pop icon or singer. So if there's a Latin singer that you want to talk about, I'll go first. Enrique Iglesias is absolutely sexy. Oh my god. I'm sorry that he had all those problems with his father, Julio Iglesias, pero Enrique Iglesias, I love you with that mole. You can keep that mole forever, baby. You can even sell it to me if you want. I don't care. But he's gorgeous. He's gorgeous. And, por la Marte Putaria, I forgot the song, but he sang a song for this one novela, and I like love it. And I know probably in chat people are probably like, oh my god, yeah. It's like robaría una estrella or something like that. I forgot what it was, but yeah. I love Enrique Iglesias. Gabe, who's your favorite Latin pop icon?
So of course we have two of the most iconic Latin people coming out of Puerto Rico. You got J Lo and the great Mark Anthony.
the original power couple.
That's it. The true tag team champs. But my favorite thing, this isn't directly from Puerto Rico, but this is a salsa album that I found about 2-3 years ago. That is an amalgam of all like the salsa legends like Celia Cruz, Tito Fuentes. Everybody's on this album, and it is called A Tropical Tribute to the Beatles. This album is a testament to how nasty salsa musicians are, that you'll listen to this and you'll hear like yesterday, and they'll add a whole segment to the song that wasn't there because they freestyling. And it's like you cannot be mad to this album. Like it's impossible. Everybody I put on to this, they're like, yo, that's like one of the best things I've ever heard. And that just like, if there's anything you take from this, Tropical Tribute from the Beatles, it's on Spotify. I can't push it hard enough.
Okay. Zuni?
So as a kid, for me it was Jerry Rivera, and his song was Alma de Niño. No, hold on, my bad. Cara de Niño, Alma de Hombre.
Yeah.
So that was like the most. So as a kid, I actually went to his concert, and in Dominican Republic. I went to visit for the summer because for us, like every summer, we used to go to Dominican Republic. And my cousin, she was a DJ at the time, or a VJ. She was also an actress or whatever. So she used to take me everywhere with her. And she was like, "Oh, let's go to his concert," and it was outdoors. And you had Jerry Rivera. You also had Sanchi Papo, which were a rap group. And it was actually a shootout.
What?
I was like very young, and my cousin was like, "I don't know what was I thinking? Why did I bring you here?" And we were all on the floor. I survived, obviously, but yeah, that was like a one of my icons from back in the day. And Celia Cruz.
Oh, Celia
Yep.
Cruz, rest,
Love her.
Cristina
rest in
Plaza.
peace, rest in peace. Oh.
Yeah.
Azúcar!
La negra tiene tumbao.
Tomaba, pang, 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 pang.
All right, Holly, who's your favorite pop icon, singer?
You know, I'm trying to rep the Puerto Ricans, but Gabe took my Puerto Ricans, so now I gotta think of something. I know she's Mexican, but Selena, I used to watch. I used to watch that movie with J Lo when I was a little girl. I swear to God, I used to watch that movie like 3-4 times a week. Like I was obsessed with it, and I would always cry at the end when she died. I was like inconsolable, and like they're playing like "Cause I'm dreaming of
You
Tonight to
till
tomorrow.
Anyway.
No, oh, I thought we were going all the way.
But that was like, Selena, like I still listen to her all the time. I remember when I was little, my mom, she used to love to she would put Selena on the stereo, and she would like dance me around the living room, and we would just be like dancing with each other. So that was it. And then obviously whatever my aunts had on the stereo when they were cleaning, whatever any of that music was, that's my choice.
Well, the
as well.
radio. Come on, La Mega se pega. La Mega se
Oh
pega,
my,
La
let me get spin, 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 let me get spin.
That was like every morning, and
Oh my God.
people will call up to see like if they could say the longest to win whatever money. So
Oh my gosh.
You know what's the funniest thing? You're talking about the radio. This made me think of my grandma. So, we have a dog in her house, and she when she goes to work, she'll put the radio on for the dog. And I'm like, why do you put the radio on for the dog? So he can listen. I'm like, what? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I do the same thing too.
Ah! It's,
They get anxiety.
Wait,
oh
so
my
the music calms them down?
It sees the emotions. It sees emotions.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he even can hear anymore. So I don't think it even matters.
Yeah, it's like it gives them less distraction, so they don't pay attention too much to like people walking in the hallways or whatever. So if like the music is playing, they're just like, all right, music.
Oh, nah, someone could be running outside. He's gonna start barking. Like outside the apartment, he senses them.
All right, so the music is just for me, like just.
All right, but speaking of like Selena and Jennifer Lopez, obviously they represent parts of our culture, parts of our heritage, parts of the Latinx community. Do you guys feel like there should be more representation in movies, in film, and in gaming? And how should that be possible? How should that be made? And how should that be done effectively so that it raises up our heritage, our culture? I'll start with Zoom Girl. How do you think that could be possible?
Like almost any other race, not only Latins, but it's just giving opportunity to other people to add more flavor and sazon in the movies that we make nowadays. Because like right now, I feel like it's the best time is now too. Like obviously we have like COVID going on or whatever, but all the movies almost feel copy paste, and the characters are more or less the same, or the way they look are more or less the same. And I feel like now you need to bring more diversity and allow people to give them opportunities to represent not only their heritage, but also like everyone, just like showing that there's representation everywhere and everyone has that opportunity to be like a star, be a celebrity, be famous for something, or even in anything. Doesn't even have to be in movies, but it could be in anything. Just giving people opportunity, because we all have talent in our own ways, and we all could bring different things to the table as well.
Anyone else want to add?
I think that a thing that may be holding back some people in terms of like on camera work, content creation, etc., is the thing that it has to do with like accent. And I think that people make fun of accents, so they're not comfortable with their accents. And when you come from a Spanish first home or a Spanish first like country, like you may have like a different sounding voice, right? And kids are the worst, right? They make fun of you. Why do you sound like that? And like you carry that for the rest of your life. And I think we should have more talk about not own that shit. Make that thing that's different about you your story. That's the most important thing. Like, don't try to be somebody else. Be you. If you have a weird accent or a different sounding accent or whatever, own it. Talk about it. Be it. Live it. I mean, it's part of who you are. And once people have that confidence, I think we'll see more people create content from the Spanish community that are like maybe like Nico Lowe's a great example, right? Nico Lowe, she speaks Spanish and she speaks English, right? So she's bilingual, so she could talk to both communities, and that is what I think is great about being Spanish. Like I said earlier, is that you can be that bridge to both sides of the world, and that is something that most people can't do. So if you could just get confident in who and how you sound and how you speak, and own that, Mike Tyson speaks horrible. You know, if he can make it, you can make it. Like it's like he'd be like, yeah, you know, spinal. Like he'd be saying the weirdest shit, and he's fine. So if he can make it, anybody can make it when it comes to speaking. So like, just be confident.
Yeah.
Speak my language, Gabe, though.
And representation matters, obviously. Like that's such a huge thing. And then just like especially in the video game space, I feel like only now we're just starting to get like so many more Latin characters. We have like Loba from Apex, we have Sombra from Overwatch, we have Raze and Reyna. We got two Latin ladies in Valorant, so that's lit. And you know, you have voice actresses like Carolina Ravassa, who she does both Sombra and Raze, and she is doing them both with very vibrant Latin accents, which goes back to what Gabe said about, you know, we need to normalize having those accents, because I have heard people that like I'll be in the middle of a Valorant game and people will be like making fun of Raze's accent, and I'm like, dude, like people like that's how somebody talks. Like I think that having that representation and normalizing it will help um in the future with, like, you know, people accepting um the Latin culture in pop culture. And I think what we really need is like we need our Crazy Rich Asians moment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like we need that powerhouse blockbuster that's going to like prove to Hollywood and prove to these production companies that Latin media can make money, because we're not all telenovelas, we're not all, you know, La Rosa de Guadalupe or whatever. Like we're not, you know what I mean? Like we had Jane the Virgin a while back, and then we had Ugly Betty, and that was like it, really. Like we need something to prove to these investors and these people that, you know, the audience is there and we are willing to support our own, but like you guys can't just keep leaving us out.
I think it's so interesting that you say that, because when we think about how Latinx people, Latinas are represented in some games, you see in Uncharted, and you see in, oh my god, I forgot the game, but you see that like Latinos are thugs. You know, the Mexican cartel, you know, I'm going to kill you and stuff like that. Like, say hello to my little friend, even though that's supposed to be Italian. But it's like we always get stigmatized as like these criminals that are vicious. But then there's a different side to that. And I feel like we need more creators. We need more content creators. We need more musicians. We need more speakers, creators, visionaries, writers, songstress. We need more game developers writing and creating these stories that express and showcase this kind of like other side of it, because that is the only way we're going to change people's perceptions and stigma of the Spanish people, of Hispanics, of Latinx. And I feel like that's super, super important. And if anybody's watching or listening to this and they need the inspiration, we need people like you to start spearheading these projects, and you'll see people start flocking to support it. So the next question I have for you guys is, what is your favorite like dish in your culture? Like, with your favorites, either Puerto Rican, Dominican, El Salvadorian, Venezuelan, what is your favorite Latin dish of all time? And when we say Latin, we're talking about not like Latin, like ego some caquilias kind of Latin. No, we're talking about Spanish. But I'll go with Gabe, because Gabe looks confident. He already knows what his dish is.
I mean, I can no longer have it, unfortunately, because I've been vegan for 7 years. But penne with rice and beans, that is like.
Well, that's all our favorite dishes.
Yeah.
Christmas
Or-
comes around.
So like that whenever that happened, you know, so many fond memories, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, like whatever occasion for that to happen, that was always such a great time. I mean, of course, you know, the fat, the salt off of it is just like speaking to your genes. And yeah, that would be like my favorite dish. That if I wasn't vegan, I'd be like, yo, let me get some of that. I mean, let me get a piece off that real quick.
Holly, did he take your?
He did, yeah, but you know, it's okay. I have a save. I had a
Okay.
backup because I anticipated this. I knew the vegan man would take my meat dish. I like, you know, the meat, the skin when it's like, when my aunt, she like takes it out of the oven and she like takes a little piece off and she's like, here, try this, and I'm like, ooh, it's about to go down. However, you can't have the pernil without the arroz con gandules. I feel like you cannot go wrong with a good pot of arroz con gandules. Everyone likes it, even if you're like not Puerto Rican. Like that's like the safe thing that we make for like when there's like non-Puerto Rican people coming, because it's a good way to like ease you in, because it's just the yellow rice with the peas, and it's just mwah, 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 mwah. I can eat it for 15 years.
I think if I had to add another one that I get asked by a lot of people, like I have a couple Japanese friends who always ask, like, where can we get this dish? And I'm like, what dish you talking about? Mofongo. They're so like, yeah, we want to get good mofongo. Where can we get it? And my friend, he had a mofongo company that he's now back in Puerto Rico. Like I would always tell him to go there, but he's not here anymore. And that's another dish that I'll be like up there in the top.
Place have mofongo, that's how you know they are authentic. And if they have good mofongo, that's how you know there's some OGs in the kitchen.
Yeah, and if they have tres golpes, then you know that they ain't messing around. All right, Zoom, what's your favorite dish?
I think anything my mom cooks is really my favorite, but
Aww.
I mean, I swear, my mom could cook me anything. Like, yes, I'll eat it, mom, anything. But like, I think pollo guisado with arroz blanco and black beans. Ropa vieja is another one. I don't know, mango in the morning.
How you not gonna say plátanos, bro?
Plátanos, tostones, maduros.
With the garlic.
That's the Dominican flag symbol, bro.
That's why I said mango.
It's the plátano with the salchichón.
Con mantequilla y cebolla criolla, like.
A million ways to smash a banana.
Nobody said fun. Nobody said fun.
Oh well.
Yeah, that's
dessert.
Cake. Like, what are we talking here?
Arroz con leche. So my favorite dish, and this is something that I'm probably gonna get killed for. I like my pasteles with raisins in it.
Oh, what the fuck? Get out of here.
That's how my aunts
That's
make
how
them.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're right here. We're right here.
High five. So that's so funny. It's so funny because like I always, whenever I go home, my mother always makes pasteles, and she makes pasteles with like con carne, and then she has carne con queso, and then she has for Janie, which is what my mom called me, for Janie, and that's the one with raisins. Nobody ever touches it. I'm the only one that likes it with raisins, and it's just because
sure you could have my raisins.
That's how I've always made them. That's a real valid way to make them.
It's
my mom made something like that too, but not for me.
Oh my god.
I think I've never even heard about that.
They set up their station. I always remember, especially around the holidays, I would come home and my aunts, I would know when they were about to make the pasteles because they would have the little plastic shower caps on, so they would be like food safe.
Shower
and they would have
garbage bags.
The white paper with like the butcher paper with like the twine that they're gonna wrap it up in, and then they would put pork. They would make the plantain, like whatever I don't know what that's called. Like they would just make the plátanos like that creamy. That was the base, and then you put the pork. They would put olives. They would put a little bit of the juice from the pork, and then they would put the raisins on top, and then they tie them up, and then we keep them in the freezer for 15 years until we eat them all.
15 years.
I don't.
Oh wow.
I don't eat pasteles. I
love pasteles. Oh, I can eat pasteles until I burst into raisins. All right. So my last question for you guys is: do you think what is your favorite, I guess, like Latinx or Latino fashion or memes that are out there? Is there a content creator that you want to give a little shout out to? I'll start first. There was these shoes. I don't even know what they're called. I call them clavo. I don't know if like it's a different word, but there was these thick ass like shoes, and my mom used to always dance in. And my mom was a dancer and model, and like I remember that she would walk around with these big ass things, and I would always be scared that she gonna use this one day on me. And it never happened, but they're called clavo, and they're so nice. I remember like walking in them with my mom, and my mom would always wear that with like long slacks, and I thought that was so cool. And the person I want to shout out is two YouTube creators, Natalie Munez and Monica Style Muse. I met Monica. She's Dominican. She's a great makeup YouTuber, and there's not enough Dominican women that are doing makeup and that are doing amazing things on YouTube. We need more of that. And if you're thinking about doing YouTube, do it. Reach out to us for support. I'll shoot to Gabe. What is any memes or fashion that you are currently addicted to or know about, and if you know any creators, give them a shout out.
I can't say there's any memes or fashion that I mean, the one fashion thing I do love are the I don't know if you guys seen like the little wallets that are made of like that plaid kind of pattern. I think it's like Nicaraguan or Costa Rican, like that kind of style they make. I really love those types of bags and like bracelets. But I haven't got one recently. My last one broke off, and I have to get one replaced. But we're in COVID, so we can't get it. But if I had to give if I had to give a content creator a shout out, I gotta give it to the number one Xbox industry plant. Danny
Oh my
Pena
god.
From Gamer Tag Radio. This is for you, Danny. No, I honestly think Danny is a really great role model in the Latin community, Latin space, Latinx space, and he's done like initiatives in DR. We're like trying to bring gaming towards more people and bring it toward into DR and create those opportunities. So I think he's a beautiful spokesperson, and more people should know about him or follow him. I mean, he's an OG in the podcast space and a legend. So that's definitely like my first ballot pick for a creator today that people should know that is Hispanic or Latin or whatever definition you go by.
Holly? Holly?
Also, Narz.
Oh,
What?
Like we gotta give it to me. Talk about Narz.
Wait, no.
sorry. Narz, your mic cut out. That's
Oh,
the
sorry.
reason.
No worries. So, Holly?
Yeah, so I feel like the one meme that I have to point out, which like I'm so surprised that we didn't even bring it up this whole time. I want to give a shout out to Sábado Gigante
Ooh!
because that was my shit growing up. Sábado Gigante was like the dude with the trumpet. What was his name? When he cut that dude, I used to watch that all the time with my aunt growing up, and like I was so scared of the dude with the hood because I was like, oh my god, he's gonna jump out of the TV and kidnap me. Like I did not like it, but like everything in that show is so funny. I will watch Sábado Gigante compilations sometimes on YouTube just to like put a smile on my face. So like that's the one thing that I'm like shocked we didn't talk about. As for creator shoutouts, I would like to give two shoutouts to two Venezuelan creators. The first of which is my aunt Indra Rojas. She used to go by Fantasy Ninja. She is a professional cosplayer, and she also runs social media for the Cosplay Fabrics line by Yaya Han, and she is like a tremendously talented seamstress and visual artist as well. And then a streamer named Daniel Navarro. He goes by 1-2 Switcheroo. He does primarily Nintendo Switch stuff. I used to work with him back at the hotel that I used to work at, and we bonded over streaming stuff. And he's a very like hardworking streamer. He grinds every day, and he's been working really hard to build his community. So like I would definitely like to give him a shout out.
I think it was called Shakal. The Shakal.
There you go.
Yeah. Zuni? Your turn, Zuni. Memes or fashion and someone you want to shout out.
I want to give a shout out to all the plastic bags that helped protect my mom and all the cookings that she did. Also, like the mayonnaise treatment that she did in her hair, and all the honey and whatever eggs and stuff.
Yo, that stuff's wrong.
You putting your mama on blast, yo.
Oh my god.
Plastic bags.
Yes,
Keep
yes.
food.
Or
Oh
Trey
my
Fair.
god.
Yeah.
Yo.
They're all stashed under the fucking sink, hidden from everybody.
Yep.
Or all the bottles of soap or conditioner on top of the fucking shower. I don't know if you guys have that.
Stop.
But like literally, it's a war zone. Whenever you go into the shower, you wonder if you're gonna get a concussion or not because something's falling.
Say as a creator, I was gonna bring up Danny because I know him personally too, and we've done a lot of cool stuff at 368 with him. He comes to our shop like every week. Also, everyone in here, like Narz, Holly, Gabe, like these are my people right here. Like they might ride and die. You know what I mean? Yeah, but that's one thing. Like me typically, I don't even stream. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, so it's hard for me to even connect with people. And the only people I really connect with is the people that I work with, and you guys are always there for me. And once I could stay representing all the time, not afraid to speak your truth, and you're alive, and you're Latina and Latino and loud as fuck. Like
yep. Yeah, that's so important. And for anyone that's watching out there, like you can see our Twitters below. I have it attached. Just if you ever want to reach out, if you want to get into production or cosplay, or you want to be a content creator, you want to do esports, we all here were a part of that. You can absolutely reach out to us, and we hope that this panel was super enlightening. If you are Latinx, if you identify as Latinx, if you identify as Latino, Latina, you are welcome in this community. You do not, I hope that you've learned that you do not need to speak Spanish to be a part of the family. Thank you guys so much for joining in. And again, follow everybody at the appropriate Twitter handles and enjoy the next panel.